question. Are you ready? Come here. Come closer. A little closer. Why are women demonized for wanting a wealthy man?
I'm not a good person.
No.
I'm awful.
No.
I am very pro-love. I don't know if you guys know that. I swear to you, as someone with a man of 6 years, I am totally pro be with who you love, be with who makes you happy. Yes, there needs to be some level of stability if you do plan on having a future together. I think it's fair to say. Maybe not everyone wants that, and that's really fine. If that's not your jam, cool. I think it's fair to say a lot of women in particular want a stable, wealthy partner by their side. And when I say wealthy, he doesn't have to be stupid rich, right? But at least financially stable. But further to that point, in many films, if you want that, or even a bit above that, let's say you are a bit ambitious, let's say you do have goals and aspirations, and you say to yourself, hey, I can make this much money. If my partner makes this much money, then we can have this house together and have this many kids together, whatever your jam is. But for some reason, even that is being demonized in movies today. In this economy, are you serious? Get out of my face right now. Not when hot chocolate rose from $5 to $8 at the supermarket. But yet, time and time again, these movies are telling us, no, you shouldn't want that. And if you want that, then you're wrong. You're actually kind of evil for one. There's something wrong with you, actually, for wanting that. Which is just absurd to me. Which is just ludicrous to me. Prime examples here that I'm going to give that are the ultimate culprit of this, but do it in different ways, which is very interesting, but they're all basically saying the same thing, which is crazy, is the latest Materialists, which I do talk about it a bit in my Materialist video, but not specifically too much on this topic. And after giving it more thought, yeah, we need to talk further about this. Number 2, The Notebook, which is very, very famous for that. Number 3, Great Gatsby. And number 4, I will briefly touch upon Crazy Rich Asians. Fast forward, we are now in 2025, and yet we are still getting movies that are demonizing women for wanting stability. Example A, Celine Song's Materialist. While I did appreciate the initial message of this film, which is essentially, you can't choose who you love actually, but when you do fall in love with someone, you should treasure that. So I like that because I can agree that that can be true. However, looking back at this, it weirdly paints Dakota Johnson's character out to be a bitch for even wanting a rich, stable guy, which is just bizarre.
I broke up with you because you're broke. I'm awful.
Because let me tell you, when I can personally say for myself, I don't need my man to be rich. I need him to be stable, but I don't need rich. However, I do have friends who are successful, are single, and are looking for someone who has quite good financial stability, if you know what I'm saying. Like a little above the average wealth, if you know what I'm saying. And I think to myself, good for you. Yeah, you're totally in your right to want that. Why wouldn't you want that? Why is that so weird to want? But yet this movie, on multiple occasions, paints Dakota Johnson's character out to be wrong for wanting that. She gets in this massive fight with her what was current boyfriend, Chris Evans, because they're fighting about money. And she ends it on this line, it's not that we're not in love, we're just broke. And then fast forward from there, we then find out that she did in fact break up with Chris Evans because he was broke. She tells Pedro Pascal's character that one thing that she wants most in a guy is that he's absurdly, stupidly, insanely rich. And it's like, okay, great. Pop off, queen. Girl, do you, girl. If that's what you want, go get it. He's right there. He's there for the taking on a silver platter, a little Pedro Pascal sandwich. Go eat it. Go eat it up, girl. And as the movie continues, she, with Pedro, looks like it's going great. They are happily 2 peaches in a pod together, and then comes to the point where she breaks up with him and essentially gives this whole speech on how she realizes that she's not in love with him. As perfect as he is on paper, as much as he checks off all her boxes, she's just not in love with him. So at that point, I'm like, okay, interesting. Very interesting. Could you not try to fall in love with him? I don't know. She then goes back to Chris Evans, her broke ex, and they crash this wedding. They have a whole romantic moment. And Then they get in this whole argument, and this was really the scene that caught my attention, where I realized, oh, so you think this is bad. So women are wrong for wanting this. Okay. Dakota Johnson's character gives Chris Evans this huge speech on how she does not understand how he loves her. How could he love her when she's a monster, when she's a terrible person? And she knows she's a terrible person because she broke up with him because he's broke. And she doesn't want to live the rest of her life with his same shitty car and the same shitty apartment. How she knows those things are vile to think about, but she's thinking about it.
This is what I'm like. How could you still love me?
So that's where I just went. Okay, to further the point, she does end up with Chris Evans' character, right? And that's supposed to be the whole happy cherry on top ending, is them ending up together. That's basically Celine Song saying, yes, this is good that she went with her heart and she chose Chris Evans, even though he's broke and doesn't have much. It's all about love, which, yes, but to a point. With this ending, it just kind of basically confirms everything that Dakota Johnson was saying about herself. That, yeah, she is vile for thinking all of these things. And, hey, look at this happy ending because she changed. And she's not just thinking about all these things anymore. She's even quitting her job because that's how much she doesn't care about money anymore. What the fuck? And to me, the movie really lost me with that because, again, it's really not a terrible thing to want a rich man. If that's your only goal and your only sole focus, sure, maybe don't let that consume you. I do agree there should be more to a relationship than just that, because money can come and go. Money can go. Maybe he's rich one moment, but then loses his job and breaks a leg. Who knows, right? That's why when you get married, rich or poor, better or worse, whatever. But you're not wrong for wanting some type of financial stability. And then they just go from 100 to 0 with her being with this absurdly rich man to an absurdly broke man by the end of this film. And I personally wish these movies would do that would personally make me feel more good with their endings and the way that they choose love is that if they had the dude at the very least work hard for himself and show him doing that for her and showing that, you know, maybe he's not the richest guy ever, but because she has that certain standard that she does want being around a certain financial ballpark for his salary, then maybe have him be like, okay, well, if that's what you want, have a passion in this, and this. So these are the career options that I could do, and I think I'll be happy with this one, so I'm going to choose this one. And I can be happy with my career and then work really hard so that I can get to that financial stability point, and then we'll be happy together. I would have appreciated, especially for this modern take of a film, if they would have talked even more about that and focused more on the plan, because they tried to button it with him saying, oh, I'm going to take more shifts at the catering place and I'm going to take commercial gigs, but at the end of the day, that's still not really stable. I've been around the acting industry and I know it's not that stable. I actually did catering as well. I've done both. Yeah, and both are definitely not too stable. I just would have appreciated that much more, and I would appreciate that in these films if they had that discussion. Maybe it's not the sexiest scene to film. Maybe people won't be jazzed to spend 5 minutes talking about that kind of thing in a movie, but I think especially Materialists, with that being the biggest theme of the film, and this being a modern take on modern dating, that would have been really appreciated. The other thing that I hate about these movies, that I'll get even more into, is the other guy. The rich guy, because he's presented to us in these films, and there's literally nothing wrong with him. Pedro Pascal looks like Pedro Pascal, is Pedro Pascal. So why aren't we getting married? Why aren't we jumping at the idea of getting that ring? That's just kind of absurd to me. With this film in particular, I just wish they could have shown more scenes of why these two couldn't work out and why she wasn't in love with him versus her ex, because Pedro showed no sign of being a bad person, of anything wrong. Like, there was absolutely nothing wrong with him, actually. It just felt so bizarre when she came out with the "I'm not in love with you," it's like, okay, but did you even try? I would have appreciated if at least they had some scenes in there of her trying to bond with him and connect with him. Like maybe she has her silly quirks and silly jokes that she likes to say, and he was like, I don't get that, and just didn't laugh or something. You know what I mean? But we got none of that in this film either. It looked like they were actually happy. Anytime that they went on a date, she was, you know, with her coy Dakota Johnson smile. I can't do it, but you know, Dakota Johnson. He listened to her that she wanted to go to Iceland. That's one of her places that she's always wanted to go to. So immediately he books them a flight to go there. You know what I mean? So it was just not enough to show of why there was anything wrong. Why wouldn't I root for you to be with someone who's kind, stable, unproblematic, calm? From what we see, they don't get in any fights either. That's the other issue I have with this, is that they present the rich guy as being what some would consider boring. But yeah, why is boring such a bad thing sometimes too? Do you want someone problematic? You want someone that makes you want to rip your hair out? Like, is that what we're promoting here? Chris Evans was confrontational with her. They did show them fighting multiple times, so, like, what? That's the other really weird thing about these types of movies, is that it's promoting fights, saying that fights with the guy that you love is great. You should be with him because there's passion and excitement there, and you shouldn't be with the rich, stable guy who's boring and calm and won't cause you any fights and distress. Okay. All in all, it was just insane for this modern day movie to just demonize that. On top of that, too, there was that quick scene at the beginning of the film where the bride was getting married to Pedro's brother, who is also stupid rich, and she seemed crying that she also seems like she doesn't actually really want to marry the guy, but then goes through with it anyway. As the audience are obviously led to think, oh, okay, she shouldn't have married this guy because obviously she doesn't love him, but it's just strange. The next one is the classic, The Notebook. Now, this one is interesting because there is nuance here because of the time it takes place. This story takes place primarily around the 40s. And so this was definitely during a time where there was that pressure on women, and especially women of Rachel McAdams' class, where they were expected to marry a guy of a certain status. It was even more so focused on stability and having someone that is stable and a good match and being with someone for that reason. So for this case, there is that element to it. It makes sense why we are supposed to be rooting for Noah and Allie. Please be with Ryan Gosling and his bearded ass. We're presented with the broke guy, Ryan Gosling's character, and the rich girl, Rachel McAdams' character. They have this whirlwind summer romance, which in retrospect, as a parent, I definitely would be like, bruh, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know what love is. Are you kidding me right now? This is just summer. You're just swallowing up the pool chlorine. You don't know what you're talking about. Girl, get your act together. Go rich, girl. But in their head, they're in love. They're gonna conquer the world together, and who cares what society says?
I'm gonna be with this broke boy because I love him and he has strong muscles because he's Ryan Gosling.
However, eventually Allie's mother forces her to go to New York and forces her to move away immediately once the romance is getting too heated there, if you know what I'm saying. But right before this, can I just say, again, with the weird fights and just promoting fights, and that's supposed to be exciting, but it's like, no. Who wants to actually fight? Who actually likes that? Right before Allie moves away, they get in this big fight because Ryan Gosling thinks he's doing the right thing by breaking up with her, because he overhears her family being like, he's trash. He's absolute trash. Literally tells her that he's never gonna have the fancy things for her. They're never gonna have that life. He can't provide that life for her. He says it verbatim.
I'm not gonna have nice things. It's never gonna happen for me.
And then she even goes ahead and says that she won't even go to school. Oh, the way that killed me, the way that breaks my heart. Oh my God, the way she was so willing to give up her education, her future career for this man. And she's literally pushing him and smacks him multiple times.
No! Stop it!
Is this supposed to be romantic? Is this the passion? Is this the fire that I'm missing in my life? Oh boy. oh golly gee, I'm really missing out, guys. And before this, they said that they would fight, and then they would make up, and then they would fight again, and they show them getting in these heated arguments all the time. It's like, bro, this is toxic. I know they end up together with a family for years. He's there at her bedside when she has dementia. I get it. But if you really think realistically, I don't know. I see them as two separate entities. I see the old Noah and Allie as a separate couple from what were presented from young Noah and Allie. I don't know them. we don't know them. We don't associate with them. This is actually James Marsden's character, and he's just pretending to be Noah for her sake. After all this, she does move away. She meets James Marsden. His name's Lon. Like lawnmower, but not spelt that way. She gets with Lon Mower. He is fine as hell. He is kind. He is rich. And unproblematic. Are you noticing a theme here? Yet again, we get a handsome, calm, stable man with a good head on his shoulders and is loaded, and yet she doesn't end up with him. Yet we're supposed to root for the guy that she constantly got in fights with and is broke. Sure. He does say that it was easy for Allie to fall in love with him. So she does fall in love with him to an extent. It's like, why couldn't you just see that through? Eventually, he asks for her hand in marriage. This whole scene is so cute, by the way. Like, they're having a time. They're having a great time. She's laughing. She's smiling from ear to ear. I'm like, what's wrong? Why aren't we rooting for this? This is cute. This is sweet. There's nothing wrong here. James Marsden asks for her hand in marriage. She accepts. Turns out that even though Noah himself was the one that broke up with her so that she could have a better life, and she is now having exactly that, a better life with another man, he then goes apeshit and tries to get her back by building a whole ass house. I'm like, bro, you're toxic. You're actually toxic. She sees in the paper that he made the house. She visits James Marsden, her fiance now, and he can tell something is wrong with her. And he asks her multiple times if she's okay, if anything's wrong.
Is everything okay? Are you all right?
Checking in on her. Oh, he's so kind. And then she tells him, she's like, yeah, I have some things I have to do. I just have to figure things out. And he's so supportive. He takes this so beautifully. He's like, you know what? You do what you need to do. Take all the time you need.
Take your time. Do whatever you need to do.
Why aren't we rooting for that? Go rich, girl. And then she goes and visits Noah, and then they bang. Obviously. By the end of the film, she gets all confused. Her mom even shows her a man that she considered marrying but didn't because he was poor. And then ended up marrying her dad. Vouches that her dad's a really good man and she does love him. But then you can tell that she says that she visits the other guy's work every so often, which is kind of insane. She obviously thinks about that guy, which is crazy. Then James Marsden at one point even says, yeah, it's hard to forget your first love. I get that. And it's like, right, but can you not have a second? Can you not? Like, is it so weird? Is it so absurd? She goes back, talks to James Marsden, admits to the cheating, and he still takes it graciously. Goodness sakes, this man. Says, baby, it's all good. Not like that. He says, I still want to make it work. I could go kick his ass, I could call off this engagement, but none of that ends up with you. I don't want that. I still want you. I very much want you. And it's so precious. He was literally willing to forgive her for all of that. Are you kidding? But no, she still ends up with Noah. Yet again, you have this kind, stable, rich man that there's just no reason for us not to root for him. But yet we're supposed to be rooting for this broke, problematic guy that brings passion in her life, that fire in her life. And then, forgive me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that they showed what Noah actually ended up doing with his life as a career. Again, forgive me if I'm wrong. I googled it. Yeah, it doesn't say. So at the very least, right? Again, at the very least, what you could do is show that he ended up having some kind of great stable career. Maybe they didn't have the most lavish lifestyle, but had a really good life for themselves, and he did end up providing really well for her to a point where they wouldn't argue about money or finances or anything like that. So you would assume that, obviously, considering that they had that whole family, all their kids and grandkids and all that stuff, obviously they would need to afford all of that, so I would assume that he probably ended up with a decent job. But again, that's the one thing I personally would have appreciated. Maybe it's not the most romantic thing to talk about, but I would have appreciated he ended up making a really good living and actually ended up owning his own construction company where he made quite a bit of money restoring houses and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? That would have been great. At the very least, that I would have been like, okay, well, at least he did something for himself and he did work hard to give her a good enough life that she would be at least happy with. Lastly here, a movie where the guy does exactly that, exactly what I said, ends up making something of himself, does work somewhat hard, arguably, to get a wealthy, lavish lifestyle, literally gets his whole mansion right across from the love of his life's house across the dock. Great Gatsby. He does all of that, which is what I've been asking for. He's the love of her life, ended up becoming rich for her, and you know what happens? She ends up being a bitch. Great! The one instance where exactly what I'm asking for the man to step up, and yes, he's the love of her life, was broke, but then does something for himself for her. But then in this case, Daisy Buchanan ends up being probably one of the most hated fictional characters. This is what I'm saying. It's crazy. We can't have a win here. We just can't have a full win. You keep demonizing these people. And Daisy Buchanan, can I say, she is the most demonized by all. By far. Not only does she end up sleeping with Gatsby while she's married to Tom, which you could argue, yeah, well, Tom's cheating on her, so she has every right to cheat on him because it's the love of her life now, and Gatsby wouldn't cheat on her. She's doing that. And here's the audience. We're thinking, okay, great, so she's gonna leave Tom for Gatsby, right? Right? No! To be fair, there's no broke boy propaganda in this film / story, which at least there's that, because yeah, she ends up staying with a rich, stable guy, even though he ends up being a piece of shit, but she stays with the rich, stable guy. But where the story is doing exactly what I'm asking, with someone starting out being poor, someone starting out being broke, but you are very madly in love with this person, but yet financial circumstances are driving you apart. He built his empire. He ended up getting rich. So at the end of the day, that could have been our grand savior of, yes, okay, finally it happened. And finally we get a win where the girl ends up with both. With a rich guy that she's in love with. Because for some reason, it can't be both. Nope. It's either a rich, scummy guy or a broke... I don't want to say scummy, even though I've been saying that these broke boys are problematic because they like to fight. Broke, love of your life, I guess you could say. Broke guy that won't cheat on you, I guess you could say, or abuse you. Because I'm also thinking about 365 Days, 50 Shades of Grey, where yes, they are rich, and they are the ones that are being promoted in their films, respectively, but yet they're very problematic. Basically, you're telling me that we can't have that win. We can't have rich and stable, and we can't have her ending up with rich and stable. What? No, we just had to have the whole kerfuffle where Daisy accidentally kills a person, Gatsby takes the fall for it, and she doesn't even so much as call Gatsby to thank him for that. He literally dies for Daisy. Insane. She did go rich girl. It's also the demonization of wanting that rich lifestyle in Daisy's case, because she did that. She ended up marrying Tom even though she wasn't in love with him at the time. Daisy still went through with marrying Tom because he was the rich, stable option. It's still being demonized in this film, in this story, because they're meant to look like the villains, and they are the villains, essentially. Only are supposed to really be rooting for Jay and, what's his name, Nick? I read the book too, I actually have it. Don't at me, please. I'm a little rusty. Don't at me. don't at me for this. I haven't. We're supposed to hate Tom and Daisy by the end of this film, and we're supposed to be hating the rich society and rich lifestyle and all the people. Again, it's just demonizing in a whole different way of the rich and wanting to stay rich. Is Daisy wrong for that? Is she wrong for that? No. But yet they made her the biggest bitch with what she does with Gatsby. And then lastly, to give that quick example of Crazy Rich Asians, this is an example, right, of exactly what I'm saying. A rich guy who is kind and stable and nice and calm and that we're rooting for. Yes, a win. But yet, we still get dialogue throughout Crazy Rich Asians of Rachel saying that she doesn't care about this stuff. She fell in love with Nick for who he is and not because of all the things that he has and his riches and all that stuff. So it's, again, just dialogue like this. It's characters like these main female leads where it's shaping it up for us as the audience to feel like they're wrong for wanting a rich guy. What would have been so wrong for Rachel saying, hey, actually that's a win for me. Hey, I love this guy and now I found out he's rich. I feel like I just won the lottery. What would have been so wrong with her saying that? Oh, no, because that's bad. How dare she? How dare she want a rich man? She can't want that. Imagine you're dating the love of your life. You love this person, and then you find out they're rich. And then you randomly find out they're stinking rich. Would you be like, oh, I don't care? I mean, that's humble, right? I mean, yes, I get not caring in the sense of I still would be with this person if they were rich or not. But then can you not have a moment of thinking to yourself, well, that's a plus. Pretty sick for me. Go rich, girl. All in all, it's just kind of insane how all of these movies have this dialogue and demonize these women for even wanting a rich guy. There is that balance of, yeah, that can't be the only thing you focus on. Maybe that is really vain and what's it called? Oh my god. Is it vain? What's that called? Like the 7 deadly sins of like just thinking about riches or whatever. Oh my god, I'm blanking right now. If you only want riches, then yes, that could be seen as not great and you're just materialistic, sure. But if it's something that you desire and it's part of the package deal that you want in a partner and part of what you want yourself in life, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that people should be shamed, especially women, for wanting that. I don't know. I think that we should be more open to being, okay, yeah, if that's what you want, that's great. In this economy, yes. Can't blame you for wanting someone who's a little more wealthy. No. Wealth comes and goes, and I totally agree with that, and you can't just focus on it, but there is a healthy balance to it, and I think if you just want that as part of your package deal, I think if you want that as part of you and your partnership, it shouldn't be demonized. And yet I haven't really seen a movie where it really demonstrates that of, hey, I do want someone who's more stable and career driven. I mean, maybe recommend it to me if you guys have seen any movies that have done it well and have someone that is in love with someone else and happens to be a stable guy and it's good and they're showing that that's good, that he's a stable, wealthy guy, maybe not a billionaire, millionaire, cajillionaire, but, you know, decently does good for himself dude, and that they end up together. And that's part of the things that she appreciates and admires, that he's a hardworking guy. Why is that such a bad thing? Recommend it to me if you have any movies that does it well, because personally I haven't really seen any. Love who you love. Don't feel ashamed, baby, if you do want someone who's a little more stable. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.